So I see the T-shirt that you have on right now. It says Democrat, Republican, Black. Now, did you watch the debates last night? Because I didn't. I was busy interviewing Dr. Umar Johnson. Maybe you know the brother?
Yes, I do.
Uh-huh. Yes.
And he knows me.
Yes. I've heard. Maybe you guys have a little history. I don't know.
A little bit of history,
A little bit of history.
but I think he's such a great orator, and
Yes.
he has so much knowledge, and so I'm not gonna let any personal stuff get in the way of the respect that I have for the man's intellect. Different strokes for different folks, and I'm glad you interviewed him because I think people should hear what he has to say. And as far as the debate goes, I couldn't. I have only so much tolerance for bullshit. I didn't feel that watching the debate was going to be the best use of my time. I'm a father. My brother spend time with my kids. I'm a thinker. I'd rather do things that I really think are actually going to solve the problem. And so what I did, though, is I did brief myself on it because I knew I knew I'd have something to say about it. I didn't want to speak from a completely uninformed place. So I checked out transcripts, watched some of the snippets, stuff like that. And so I got the gist of it. I saw the stuff with the fly on the guy's head and all that shit.
I'm going to be honest. That's probably about all I saw. I did no, I didn't, I know nothing about it. So if you would like to, fill me in on the bullshit that you observed, I'd be glad to hear it. But, I mean, do you plan on voting? Are you a Democrat or are you a Republican? What's your stance? Are you the type of person that feels like they're going to hold their vote? That your vote is political currency, and if you don't get anything, that you shouldn't give it. How do you feel about these things?
Well, I'm historically a Democrat. Historically, I'm really,
as are a lot of black people.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I remember being really excited about, when Bill Clinton got elected. I really thought that was going to make a difference. I did not, in hindsight, I'm just fascinated by how terrible that presidency was for us in certain ways. It was almost a repeat of the devastation that occurred during the Reagan era. In that was that time when Democrats tried to get more votes by acting more like Republicans. So Clinton and Biden passed that crime bill, and it's just like you just saw black men dropping like flies, getting these crazy prison sentences and everything. And so over time, I just began to kind of question things. And I said, wait a minute, the things that everybody's telling me I'm supposed to do are just not working. These things are taking us backward. And so that's when I started to form a different mindset of politics. I started reading things that are outside the box. You go back, you read what W.E.B. Du Bois wrote when he said, he wrote an article called Why I Will Not Vote. And I said, man, this is crazy. This guy, 100 years ago, he was saying the same stuff that we're saying right now. And when you see people in our community having the same problems now that we had 50 years ago, 100 years ago, that right there should be quite alarming. That right there is an alarm bell to tell you that you could be wasting your life. You could be wasting your life just literally living the same rerun over and over and over again. So my position on the voting thing is, number one, I don't tell anybody what to do because I believe in freedom. Freedom means doing what the fuck you want to do. Freedom does not mean that you get a better pimp or that you go from having the Democrats telling you what to do to having the Republicans telling you what to do. None of these people care about you. And I shouldn't tell you what to do. So I'm very clear to say I'm not telling anybody who to vote for. I'm not campaigning for nothing. The only thing I campaign for is black people, right? And I believe we vote with our knowledge. We vote with our energy. We vote with our dollar bills. Things like that. Things that are really going to make a difference. As far as this election goes, I'm choosing not to support either candidate because I believe, and maybe it's because of who I am and how I was just sort of raised as a man. I believe in things like strength. I think it's very important for black men to have strength as a collective. And I believe that you make yourself look very, very weak when you let somebody put you in the stupid box where they give you two really bad options. And you say, oh, okay, all right, well, I'm gonna just pick the lesser of two evils, right? I'm not gonna play that game. I'll just sit back and fold my arms and say, I'm not picking nothing until you give me an option that makes sense. and that's just, you know, and some people don't see that. Some people just take what they can get, and I respect that. I'm just not going to participate in that. So in this next election, if you look at the history of all the candidates, I don't see any light at the end of any of those tunnels. None of that
at all.
I mean, Biden and Harris made their whole career locking black men up.
They're the lock 'em up gang. Like,
Man,
they're the lock 'em up gang. Like,
there you go.
and for 47 years he's been doing this. Like, y'all talk about now again, y'all can't. It's like you can't say anything that's like not negative about Trump without seeming like you're supporting Trump. I don't support Trump. But what I will say is he's not a lifelong politician like some of these motherfuckers, okay? And yeah, he be fucking up and all of that, but this guy's been fucking up for 47 years. He's been going at black people hard body for 47 years. And now just because he was the vice president to a so-called black man, we supposed to give this man a pass and act like he's for us and all this lesser of two evils shit. Like, I don't play those games. I don't play this lesser of two evils. You know, this poison is less stronger than this poison, so let me drink this one. You know, it tastes a little better. They're both gonna kill me, but this one tastes a little better, so I'm gonna sip on this one. Like it's retarded. Like, I abstain from all poisons. I don't want any poison in my body. I don't want any evil. I don't want to vote for any evil. Like, yeah, man. And then you got this Kamala, however you say her name. She's all gassed up. You know, she got people gassed up because she an AKA and all this type of shit. My wife is an AKA. And so she's all
sister's AKA too.
Yeah, so they're we gonna be marching to the polls with our pinkies up. Get out of here with that nonsense. But anyway, yeah, man, like I ain't messing with none of them. And yeah, I was just curious on.
Well, you know, I like that too, man. I mean, I think it's and really, here's the thing, right? In a way, this is a beautiful exercise in a great reflection of the diversity that exists in our community. If I'm B1, if I'm truly black first, then why am I going to end my relationship with you as my brother because you voted for one person that and I voted for another? Like, you know, that divide and conquer has been a tool of white supremacy all throughout history, all throughout the world. I always, I bring up the Vietnam War as a prime example because the Americans and the Soviets had this thing with capitalism versus communism, and they used Vietnam as ground zero for this battle and dropped more bombs on this tiny country than all the countries dropped during all of World War II combined, right? Like, destroyed this country, had cousins fighting against cousins and North against South, Vietnamese against Vietnamese. That country was destroyed. And then when the war was over, they all went back home to their cushy little lives. They went back to Russia. They went back to the United States and just said, okay, fuck Vietnam. We don't give a shit. And what I see in the black community is something similar. They got this Democrat Republican bullshit. You know, they got this gang warfare that's bigger than us. It's been going on for a long time. And they're using us as ground zero to fight their battle. So you got black folks on social media, unfriending each other, cussing each other out, want to beat up their relative. Oh, I ain't talking to my uncle because he's a Trump supporter. Well, he's your fucking uncle. He loved you before these white people ever gave a shit about you. Can't you just say, you know what, we agree to disagree, and I love you anyway, and after this election's over, we got to go back to building our community, right? To me, that's what B1 means. It doesn't mean I'm never going to condemn anybody for who they vote for. I'm just not. I refuse to do that. And so I think that you have a right to, as a black man, to say, I can understand why an AKA would love Kamala Harris, right? I mean, it's because all this is about power. When Obama when he appointed Elena Kagan for the Supreme Court, I knew exactly why he appointed Elena Kagan. He should have put a black woman on. Dorothy Height requested that, but instead of putting a black woman on, he picked Elena Kagan. And politically, I understood why. She checked all the boxes. Elena Kagan was Jewish. She was a woman. A lot of people thought she was from the LGBT community, even though she never admitted to that. Also, she was from Harvard. And it's not a coincidence that a ton of our Supreme Court justices, almost every single one of them, went to Harvard or Yale. Ginsburg graduated from Columbia, but she was at Harvard until she transferred because her husband got a different job. So this is a power play. This is Harvard people taking care of Harvard people, right? AKAs are going to take care of AKAs. I'm not mad at that. And I think that black men can take care of black men. You know, so as black men, you know, we can look at a Kamala Harris and say, look, I understand why you like her, but she's not for me. I look at her track record. She doesn't have a good relationship with black men. Just start with the basics of her relationship with her father. You know, he's Jamaican. They're descendants of slave owners somehow. I don't understand that exactly, but she has a very bad relationship with her father. And I don't think that's disconnected to the fact that she goes to an HBCU. Think about this now. She goes to an HBCU, meets thousands of black men.
Right.
She's a pretty lady.
But you marry a white guy.
Right. You married to Doug. How the fuck does that happen?
Right.
Right. So that, and you think about that, right? People get mad when you bring it up. They're like, oh, you're trying to hate on her. But I said, think about this with a black man. Have you ever met a black man who really hates his mother? Like really has a shitty mother and just can't stand her? And you can make a direct connection between his feelings about his mother and his relationships with women. Absolutely. You know, it's an easy connection, right? So with Kamala Harris, the same thing is true. Her and her daddy are not cool. I mean, her daddy went out and just tried to do everything he could to broadside her campaign. That's a lot of bad blood, right? And so this bad relationship with her father translates, in my opinion, to a bad relationship with black men in general. And so I think that the mindset is fuck black men. We don't need them. We can ignore them. We're dealing with a weakened community. The black community is seen as a fatherless, weakened community. And when you have a fatherless, weakened community, that allows predators to come in and exploit the community. You can take the women, you can enslave the children, you can do whatever the fuck you want. And I believe politically that's what this power play is. So I think as black men, rather than us worrying about what everybody else is doing or being offended by that, I say we just make a stand and say, you know, if you don't relate to us, if you're locking us up in droves, sending brothers off to prison, you know, to who are going through God knows what, you know, like they'll talk all day about a white woman getting raped or somebody touched her ass in 1992 and she deserves $50 million. Well, I mean, black men are going to prison, their brothers getting raped every day, you know, and there's no sympathy for that. So it has to start with us. We have to be the first ones. So in a way, this mass incarceration thing to me, man, it's like a Me Too movement for black men. It's where brothers have to say, we matter too. You know, it's because it doesn't matter if white people are saying Black Lives Matter. We have to be the first ones really saying that and force other people to acknowledge that our lives matter, period.